What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So November is here. Burst of Destiny is coming, well, today if you're watching this now. So by the time this video is up, it is today. Lots is changing, lots are coming back, and a lot has actually stayed the same. We're gonna go through a whole bunch of decks here. I believe there's 37 of them because I just realized Guru is on here twice. That's how good it is. Tier 1 being like the top echelon of decks. Obviously representation and results playing a role here. With a lack of official events, we use like Dragon Rider games, we have online tournaments, we hold a lot of cash tournaments, big prize tournaments. DB Grinder has had a handful of our finals on his channel. DCS 5 has been announced for early January. Come check it out, link down below. Tier 2 are other decks that are really strong. They might either be slightly behind the power level of Tier 1 or slightly behind the representation. So there's actually one Tier 2 deck when we get to it I will mention. I think it's actually probably one of the 3 best decks, and if the representation pushes it there, it will absolutely be Tier 1 as well, and it's my pick for one of 2 to win YCS Pasadena. Tier 3 being like really strong decks that you don't necessarily expect to be topping an event or doing well in an event, but you are not surprised at all if you see it there. Rogue decks are decks where with the right pilot on the right day, or a combination of the two, like there's certain players with some of these decks where you just expect them to do well, and any deck in Rogue can compete. Like I said, whether it's the pilot who pushes them there, or if it's like you just happen to hit some good matchups and like the day is with you, those types of things. But rogue decks aren't as easy to do good with, but they are decks that can compete. And we're going to start out right away. ABC, they're a rogue deck. Like they're probably near the back end of rogue, middle end of rogue, but they're a rogue deck. There's a deck that, you know, targeting banish like mid combo is obviously pretty strong. Tagging out, link climbing, spamming the field with that. Like it's pretty strong. Union Carrier hurt a little bit, but the deck's still really good. Emancipator, I'm actually going to put them up at tier 3. I think when we're talking about combo decks, they just get outclassed by some of the other ones, and that's why they're not any higher, but the deck is still pretty strong. Altergeist, we're going to put them at tier 3 as well, because kind of the same thing. Like when we're talking about control decks, they're not quite at the top of the list, but they're just a really strong deck, and like neither one of these decks would surprise me at all to see them like doing really well in an event. Especially I'd put Altergeist above Emancipator at that point. B Trooper, I want to see results before we, you know, really commit to them being better, but they're going to go in the rogue category for now. Getting some more support between the Synchro Storm and Burst of Destiny. The deck had a lot of hype coming into it, so we'll see kind of what they end up doing. Buster Blader, another rogue strategy. It's come in and out of formats, but the format, I think, is just too diverse for Buster Blader to truly be what it once was. Like it's not like when Dragon Link was just like super dominant, and Buster Blader obviously has natural advantages there. Cyber Dragon, everything about me wants to put it higher, but there's a handful of people, like when they're playing this deck, I just expect them to do really well. James Jung being one, Hakuna Maidata, most of you guys know him. If not, go check out his channel. Easily, hands down, one of the best Cyber Dragon players out there. And this encompasses the Trap variant, the Synchro variant, deck profile coming soon, replay video or combo video already up on the channel, or even the Cyber Style. And by Cyber Style, I am talking about both Power Bond OTK and actually mixing in a slightly bigger Cyber Dark package for more of a control mid-range deck. This is something that some really great Cyber Dragon players such as Alex Monlack, a group chat with Anastasis, Nathan, and Carlos, like we've been talking about it too. Like there's some really good Cyber Dragon players who are mixing in a little bit bigger Cyber Dark package, and I think that just as a whole package, Cyber Style, Cyber Trap, Cyber Synchro, you know, standard Cyber Dragon with Dragoon or Destroyer Phoenix, or even just pure Cyber Dragon, it's a rogue strategy. If you have a really good day with good matchups, you can see a lot of success. If you play 6 rounds against Tri Brigade, you're probably gonna have a good day. Like you should at least. You know, being said, Otherwise, just like really good pilot, you're gonna do pretty well with it as well. Despia, it's more of an engine than a standalone deck, so we're gonna leave it down in Rogue. Maybe some decks like abuse it and can be higher up, but that'd be more on like whether like Shadal or Invoked or like just examples, not saying them are good decks, but the Despia, I think it's more of an engine, so we are going to leave it down in Rogue. Dinos are, well, I think they're Rogue. Like the decks, whether you play Scrap Package or you don't, you still die to the same thing. So I actually prefer playing it without the Scrap Package. I would recommend like a heavy going second build, because again, like you can play the Scrap Package and increase your turn once, like going first combo potential board, but you already make like the rank 4 Tyranno and like another and possibly like Dragoon or a disruption that way. Like with pure going second dinos, that is, you do that. Like why try to force feed the deck to go first better with Scrap Engine and still die to a single Ash? Like the deck still dies to the same hand trap, so I personally don't like the Scrap Package. Dragon Link, first tier 1 deck. I think dragons are just so consistent, so strong, so much generic support. um, what are you gonna hit? Like the deck is just, it's crazy. There's so much dragon support. Drytron, one of my 2 picks to win the YCS between Pasadena and YCS Utrecht, or how do you say that? And it's the one over in Europe. But Drytron is my pick to as one of 2 decks to. I mean, I said Pasadena, but it could go to either one. Drytron just, insane deck with a strong pilot with Drytron. It's probably the best tier 1 deck that we'll see here. Like the deck is just so strong. They don't need to play a bunch of hand traps. They have their like 2 orange light, and then they just play cards like Talents and Droplet and just a whole bunch of gas to really just be such a crazy deck. Earth Machine, 1 card combos, consistent, grindy, rogue deck. Mostly because representation, like no one's playing it. If it had the better representation, it's probably one of the decks that could easily go up to tier 3. Eldritch, that is going to be a tier 3. Tier 3, do we want to leave Eldritch at tier 3? Man, yeah, I kind of do. Like, it's so close and like borderline to tier 2, but I am going to leave Eldritch as tier 3. I think the best way to play it is probably like the super trap heavy. I know Eldritch Dogmatica is a thing and people say it's really good. With Cyber Dragons though, like I'm 3-0 against Eldritch Dogmatica. I think the trap heavy build is actually better. But yeah, Eldritch is going to stay at tier 3 for now. We're probably one of the better tier 3 decks. Evil Twins, another rogue deck. They actually pair up with Eldritch pretty well. But like just on their own, they don't do enough. They got to pair up with another deck to really do something good. Flunderies. Man, I like we said with B Trooper, I want to see results, and obviously they're a new deck. They don't have that yet, so they're not gonna be tier 1 by any means. Do we put them at tier 3, tier 2? Like, just based off of what we know the deck can do, is it gonna be tier 2? I'm gonna leave them like at the top of tier 3. I want to see them perform a little bit more before we get to tier 2. There's two new decks that we'll really talk about on this list. Obviously, Sword Soul being the other one, so we'll go ahead and grab them right away. They are actually gonna be at tier 2. Biggest thing, I don't want to put 2 new decks that we haven't seen any tournament play, like real tournament play, up at tier 2, so I kind of just wanted to pick one for 2 and one for 3, and I think between them that Sword Soul is the better deck. Whether you're playing the hero package or 10E, personally, from watching combo videos and discussion videos and everything and like watching the deck, I think the hero build is superior. We'll see what kind of takes off and does more, but I think Sword Soul like is going to be the tier 2 deck out of the 2. Do I think it's going to go higher? Possibly, but I'm pretty confident leaving it at a tier 2. Grand Maju, really strong rogue deck. Shoutouts Brock, he's been doing pretty good with the deck overall. Streams once in a while with it, so make sure you guys turn on that notification bell so you can see when he comes on and is testing all of his different ideas. Guru, another, it's not as good as Altergeist, so it's gonna go down one peg. Guru down in the Rogue. Agnister, this was another one, like, I didn't know where, kind of like Eldritch, where I was gonna put them, so I'm gonna leave it at tier 3. I've had it at like a strong tier 2 or middle tier 2 the last couple lists, but I just feel like the representation just isn't there for whatever reason, whether people just don't have fun playing it, it's not as good as other decks, or, you know, any of the above, all of the above. Infernal, this deck's kind of like really good. I've been playing against it a lot more online too. I think it's starting to see more representation, and it's going to be a good strong tier 2 deck. Infernoids, couldn't even think there for a second. Infernoids, it's just another one of them annoying decks that you really should brush up on, so that way you don't get caught off guard. You don't see it too often, but it is a good deck, and if you want to play like a rogue strategy, it's not a bad one to go and pick up and play. Invoke Dogmatica Shadal, tier 2. Do I think they're tier 1? No. I think like the deck's got a lot of good things going for it, and the deck does do good. The deck has representation, but I just don't think it's quite on the level of the other tier 1 decks. So I'm going to put them just as a strong tier 2. Lyra Lusk, new support. Lyra Lusk is actually a standalone deck now. Well, like an actual competitive standalone deck now. You could kind of play them. But otherwise, like Bird Up, Tri-Brigade, Lyra Lusk, like that deck is really crazy, but this is more specifically to pure Lyra Lusk or non-Tri-Brigade variants, and I'm going to put them as tier 3. Madolche, another good rogue deck. Like Madolche, if you're playing in a rogue tournament, Madolche is actually a really strong deck to play, and if you're playing in current format and you really get familiar with the deck, it's a pretty good deck. Biggest thing going against it right now is probably that Nibiru sees so much main deck play. Mathmex, another deck that I definitely wanted to mention him because I've seen him in a handful of replays on DB Grinder's channel on like high rank, so some people are playing it, and the boss monster is just like such a strong monster, and I think it's like any deck in this rogue strategy, these are decks where if you're not ready for them and you don't know what they do, and you're just like not just brushed up, I'm not saying like go and study all these decks and know them inside and out, but have a pretty good basic understanding on what they do and where to hit them and stop them, so that way you don't like lose or throw a match that you really end up needing when it comes down to the end of the tournament. We've been doing our 10-minute takedowns where we do a 10-minute video to take down like top decks of the format. We did Dragon Link, Drytron, Virtual World, Tri-Brigade, and Sword Soul are probably the next two we're gonna do. Kind of going through the tier list, I guess, if you will. I did promise a very salty Dino player in Dueling Book I'd do how to beat Cyber Dragons, because he could definitely use it. Or no, Eldritch Dino. Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but it was a interesting one to say the least. Mech Knights, more in the pure, or even like with Invoked Mech hasn't been doing a whole lot, but like Mech Knights, oh my goodness, this deck is like this, oh man, I don't even know what to say, like to put it into words. This deck is really strong, and I'm surprised more people don't play it. You know, there's Anastasi's Reckless, there's Shannon Long, like there's some really good players playing Mech Knights. And I think it's just a really underrated deck, actually. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, rogue strategy. If I had to put like top 3 between all of these, I'd probably put Mech Knights number 1 just from what's here right now. Man, I'm gonna go biased here, put Cyber Dragon 2, and then probably Earth Machine as the 3rd out of these. I feel, well, I can't even move cards where I want them to. Probably my 3 top rogue decks here, at least so far. Grand Maju coming close. Mystic Mine, it's, man, you have to respect Mystic Mine. If you don't, you're gonna lose to it whenever you play against it. Another good rogue strategy. Orcust, Rogue, almost like obviously Rogue's gonna be the biggest category, because I did want to kind of just briefly touch on a bunch of decks. I think Harp Horror can come back to 1 and be perfectly fine. I really do. Pendulums, Triff just went undefeated with Pendulums. Like, deck is insane, right? Like, I mean, personally, I hate pendulums, and I would not be upset at all if they went away, but they didn't, and they're here, so it's something we do have to talk about briefly, at least. So pendulums is a pretty good rogue strategy. PK fire, PK, whether it's with or without the Burning Abyss, especially with like, I think they're gonna end up playing the Brave package. I mean, who isn't? The Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer, all these kinds of things. This is my other pick to win YCS Pasadena. This is the deck that is probably stronger than, like, you know, it could borderline be stronger than some of the tier 1 decks. I just, and the, like, oh, it's more PK than it is Burning Abyss, so I don't know if it's going to have that huge following, but if the representation's there and it's as strong as, like, a lot of people think it's going to be, this could be one of the best decks of the format. Like, keep an eye out for PK. This deck is crazy good right now. Plunder Patrol, another strong rogue deck. Prank Kids, I'm actually going to put Prank Kids up at tier 2 as well. It's just better resource management, really the only thing that's changed for them. They still do really strong going first boards. They can still do pretty much all they want. They just don't get the double pop, or they have to put to get the double board wipe, or they do and then they lose the follow-up with Meow Meow. But like, depending where they're at, they'll have enough bodies on board anyway that it's not gonna matter. So like, the deck is still really strong and really consistent. Salamangreat, this was one I was debating putting up to tier 2. I do think it's probably one of the better tier 3 decks. Obviously we don't know what Floanderies is gonna do. I think Salad is like underrated. The deck is really, really strong. In the case tournament I played in, it was actually my only loss, and we ended up splitting top cut, but we played the final round. And like, Salad has just evolved where the engine's not like super strong, super oppressive or anything, but the ease of access into access code talker, like for an OTK, it's just so easy to pull off and do it, and you can chain block a lot of key effects to, you know, update jammers not once per turn, so you can chain block for your who's the one guy, I can't even think at the time, wow, really can't think, but then you can chain block again for like you can chain block transcode, and then you can bring it back, and then you can still use it again with your access code. That's what I was trying to get at, because it is not a once per turn effect to use it to gain the second attack. So between that and the fact that they can play so many hand traps and so many generic traps, because like, generic traps are so strong in today's game. Shaddoll, like, not invoked, like, this is just straight up Shaddoll. I think it's a really strong rogue deck. Sky Striker is another one of those tier 3 decks that you gotta be ready for. Sky Striker's still Sky Striker. It's got such a big following behind it. It's like, these two decks have some of the best representation like across Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Like, their representation is so crazy, but like, they're both actually decent. I think Salad is the better out of the two, but don't sleep on Striker either. They're still a really strong tier 3 deck. Tri-Brigade, obviously they're coming up here at tier 1. What is the best Tri-Brigade variant? I'd probably go Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade if I had to pick one. You could still play like Zoo Tri, because you just like go into Zeus, you lost a few consistency cards. Pure Tri-Brigade's still good, like Melfi Tri-Brigade, like there's a lot you can do with Tri-Brigades. But I think that Lyrilusk Tri-Brigade's probably the best variant at the moment. Virtual World, another tier 1 deck. Like, Virtual World's crazy. The deck either wins or it loses to itself, I swear. Like, and I'm considering, like, if a single Ash stops your Virtual World, you lost to yourself. Like, because your hand wasn't that good if one Ash stops it. Like, the deck is just, it loses to itself or it wins. Like, that's just how good Virtual World is. Zombies, so obviously like Zombie Eldritch is another variant of Eldritch. This is more just like Zombie World, Balderrock Control, pretty strong rogue strategy. So this is actually pretty much it, because we already did Guru. So 37 decks. Obviously I forgot some decks. Obviously there's decks I didn't talk about, But what decks do you think deserve to get mentioned next time? And which decks do you think should go up or down on this tier list? And which ones have the best chance to go up or down? Like I said, if I had to pick one to go down out of tier 1 here, I'd be inclined to say Tri-Brigade or Virtual World go down one. I think the Leer Lush new support really does help Tri-Brigade, and just how it can lose to itself, I would probably say Virtual World's the one that would go down. Tier 2 best chance to go up is PK, no, like not even a question. PK is the best chance to go up. Tier 2 to go down, however, which one would be the best chance to go down? I'd say Infernoble or Prank Kids has the best chance to drop out of tier 2. Tier 3, best chance to move up to tier 2. As much as I want to say Salad, I'm going to go with Flow Under, just because we don't necessarily know how it's going to translate over yet. Best chance to drop down even further, Ignister, probably not too much of a surprise there. Rogue deck, which is the best rogue deck here? The best chance to move up into tier 3. I'm going to say it's probably pretty close between Cyber Dragon, because I think it has more representation than Mech Knight, and Guru, actually, because again, I think Guru's got some like low-key decent representation, and out of these decks it is, I would probably put as the second best. I think like out of all these decks, I do have to go Mech Knight as the best rogue deck, and then probably Guru and Cyber Dragon coming in third. So I would pick like Guru or Cyber Dragon to move up, despite Mech Knights being probably a better deck. I just don't think they'll ever have the representation to see the results to move up higher. So maybe I'm wrong, but just a few things that I think could move around. Otherwise, I am actually really happy overall with the list. Let me know what you guys think down below, and thank you for watching. Take care, and until next time, hit that subscribe button and see you guys later.